Philadelphia 76ers star Joel Embiid underwent emergency surgery in Houston Thursday after being diagnosed with appendicitis a few hours before the team fell to the Rockets 113-102 in a pivotal late regular season clash. And it's unclear right now whether Embiid would be able to return to the court. Here's head coach Nick Nurse on Embiid's appendectomy.
It was a tough blow. I think that the biggest thing right now is that Joe comes out of the surgery, best as possible, and all that goes well. As far as that's where most of my thoughts are right now. But I'm the leader of the team. I got to pick the guys up, and they'll understand the situation. And we've got to be professional, and we've got to go try to figure it out the best we can.
So this came about on Thursday. He gets added to the injury report late in the afternoon and then has to undergo, added with an illness, and then has to undergo surgery. This is not something you can certainly project, not something he can control, but for someone who's played 490 games in his career, he's missed 473 games. That's a lot. So, David, your reaction to this Joel Embiid injury?
Makes me sad. I'm just kind of bummed out about this. I think about a couple of weeks ago, the 76ers, fully healthy, go into Charlotte in a playoff-level game, and they win. And Embiid is like the best player. Paul George is doing the stuff that he's doing. Maxey has a great game. And this is a dangerous 76ers team that nobody would want to face. Even if they won't win the first round, this is something that, a team that is going to give you problems, and Joel Embiid can be the best player on the court. But now we have something like, look at Joel Embiid. People have been made a lot of jokes and comedy about the injuries and talking about he's got all these knee problems. But an appendectomy is something different.
Can't control that.
And you look at the injuries that he's had just in the playoffs. He had Bell's palsy. He has this appendectomy, respiratory infection in 2019 when he took the Raptors to 7 games and Kawhi made that shot. He was like a plus 100 in that series when he played 2 orbital fractures and concussions. These things are in the playoffs that have derailed their entire seasons. So we can't talk about Joel Embiid as just a guy who is fragile. These are fluke injuries that have changed the course of one of the most talented players, big men that we've ever seen, change his entire career.
Yeah, let's pull up the graphic we have of the games he's missed by notable injury, because there are certain things that have affected him more than others. 153 games he has missed due to knee injuries, and then a pretty significant drop-off, but oblique injuries, illnesses, the face injury, the Bell's palsy you had mentioned, 9 games each with hand and back injuries. It's tough. It's tough, Vinny, because this is somebody who, at times, it's felt like his body has betrayed him in the biggest moments, and ultimately that ends up hurting the team, whether he controls it or not.
He's going to go down as one of the most unlucky players in NBA history. You're going to have, the Grant Hills, the Penny Hardaways, the Derrick Roses, even Chris Paul to some degree, and you're going to say, man, we got a taste of what Joel Embiid, once he got over that playoff thing, because there were years where he couldn't perform up to his regular season standard in the playoffs, but he's shaking that off more recently. He's played 96 games since that MVP season of 3 years ago. That's barely a season and a playoff run since. And to Philadelphia's credit, when you look at Tyrese Maxey and B.J. Edgecomb, you see the future of the franchise. You see it in front of you right there. I didn't give them much of a chance this season, even if you want to call them a scary team in the first round. I didn't give them much of a chance because there's not much sweat equity with their best 4 players. Between Paul George, Embiid, Maxey, and Edgecomb, they played 360 minutes together. If you look at the Knicks' 4 best players of OG Anunoby, Karl Towns, Bridges, and Brunson, 900 minutes. There's just way too much experience on the other side of teams that you're going to be going against that know how to play with each other, that know how to play against other teams. This team doesn't know each other in that way. The Philadelphia 76ers are an idea. That's what they are. They're an idea more than they are anything else, and this is just another unfortunate example of how their best laid plans have never come to bear.
I just feel bad. It's sad for Joel Embiid. Again, we're talking about one of the most talented centers that this game has ever seen. And when you talk about bad luck, it always comes at the worst time, right before playoffs or during the first round of the postseason. he never has the luck that he needs to go and be at his best. And like David said, hey, look, we're not talking about just knee injuries. We're talking about backs. His back. We're talking about Bell's palsy. It's stuff that he can't control. Stuff that he can't control that's out of his hands. And so, again, I'm kind of pissed off about it because I was looking forward to seeing Joel Embiid play this postseason. I was very critical of the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid at the start of the season, but I started to see the plan that they had in place. It was actually working. We started to see Joel Embiid, when he first touched the floor at the beginning of the season, he wasn't even dunking. I think he got his first dunk like late January, early February, if I can remember. We started to see Joel Embiid get his legs underneath him. We started to see Joel Embiid start to trend towards that MVP Joel Embiid, and we started to realize and say, hey, if you're one of those top dogs in the Eastern Conference, you might want to stay away from the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round, especially the way Paul George came back off the suspension. Tyrese Maxey playing at an all-NBA level. So, again, it's just sad that we can't see Joel Embiid again this postseason at his best. I don't know if we are going to see him.
Yeah, unclear when he comes back, if he comes back. What that means for their postseason hopes. Perk, you bring it up. They're 21-14 with him on the court this season. But the 76ers have struggled without Joel Embiid. They've gone 19-23 without him when he has played. They're 10 games over 500. And they average close to 120 points a game. So sharp drop-off in offensive production when he is not on the floor. 112.7 points per game without their all-star center. So, Perk, I know we talked about if he's going to come back at all. We're not doctors here, but it doesn't sound like something you rush back from. Are the 76ers playoff hopes cooked without him? Because right now it would line up to be the 76ers Magic in that 7-8 play-in game, and because Philly has the tiebreaker over Charlotte, they do close out the season with the Pacers and the Bucks, so I guess that could keep them in that spot. But are they do they have any hope in the postseason if they get into the actual tournament?
Look, it's going to be hard for them to get into the postseason, to be honest, without Joel Embiid. I'm looking at the teams that are in the play-in tournament. When you talk about the Magic, right, although they've been having their highs and a lot of lows, they still have that core group that could come together and get it done. And Paolo Banchero could be really dominant in that series. The Hornets, obviously, they have been one of the biggest surprises in the NBA, if not the biggest surprise. And the Miami Heat, we know Eric Spoelstra and that Heat culture, what they're going to bring. But again, when you talk, if they do get in, their first round exit, without Joel Embiid, but I'm just being real. I don't see the Philadelphia 76ers getting in without Joel Embiid being in the lineup. I don't see them making the playoffs. I just don't.
Yeah, they have 2 easy wins coming up. I think what you said, Pacers, Bucks
yeah.
To end the season. I think those last 2 wins they're going to have this season. I just do not think that they're going to beat a Magic team or a Hornets team to get out of the play-in. And even if they do squeak by and get a win, they're losing very easily in the first round. Joel Embiid just changed the trajectory, changed the equation for what this team could be if he's on the court. We've talked about offensively what he meant, but when he was healthy during that stretch a couple months ago, defensively in the paint, when you're talking about blocking shots, he was up there with Embiid. He was up there with Gobert.
Sure.
And Wemby in terms of diverting the offense from the paint when he was fully healthy. That is something that he brought to that team defensively. Without that, I'm not sure they can stop anybody. And without him offensively, I'm not sure they can put up enough points. This team feels like they are D.O.A. as soon as the postseason starts.
I think it's something important to note here, too. When you have a player like Joel Embiid, as talented as he is, and we can all agree, generational talent, right? You can put up there from a talent standpoint with the Akeem Olajuwons, with the David Robinsons. But when you have a player who has such a checkered injury history, this is baked into the equation of team building. You have to factor this in if you're Daryl Morey, if you're Nick Nurse, that something like this can happen because it always happens. And then when, let's say you did go into a playoff situation with Joel Embiid if he's healthy, and you're playing every other day, and you can't plan out the rest days and everything else. And they've done a good job of ramping the minutes up, but it didn't seem like it was going to be a sustainable operation from the beginning because Joel Embiid is so hurt. And he's now entering the other side of 30. His contract escalates over the next few years up until 29. So this is what the future looks like for the Philadelphia 76ers. As long as they have Joel Embiid, it becomes an if. It becomes a patchwork process around him. And I don't know how sustainable or successful that is if the first thing you're saying about them is if.
Well, the problem was this was their best case scenario if you look about it before the appendectomy. Paul George had been resting for 25 games. Yes, it was an unfortunate situation, but he was resting. Embiid only played pretty much half the season, theoretically well rested going into the playoffs. They were peaking at the right time behind guys like Maxey and Edgecombe who were carrying them into the playoffs. Then you walk into it with your two best players rested and theoretically healthy, and even then, an appendectomy is what does it. He didn't tweak a knee. He didn't twist an ankle. It was something like that has derailed the season, which makes us feel even more unfortunate because this was best case scenario in terms of resting your best players going to playoffs.
You just said if, theoretical, best case scenario. Yeah. That sounds like you making something out of paper.
A lot of hypotheticals, but that's the like I said, that's the Embiid world, and it was gearing up to all those hypotheticals lining up for this very one time, but it didn't happen.
49% of his team's games. That's how many Joel Embiid has missed since he was drafted in 2014. As it stands right now, the Philadelphia 76ers, 8th in the Eastern Conference. They would be in that 7-8 game with the Orlando Magic in a couple of weeks. All right, time for a quick take. The Houston Rockets